good to see the Tigers investing in their youth as well as to complement the kind of big signing they brought in Matautia, obviously, who can play a bit of centre, play a bit of fullback. It might limit Callum Turner's first team opportunities in the short term, but they're obviously still committed to developing the kid.
Yeah, good news, I think.
Huddersfield Giants long-serving forward Michael Lawrence has been granted a 12-month testimonial by the Rugby Football League in 2019. The 28-year-old who signed for the Giants back in 2007 and since breaking into the team in 2009 has been a virtual ever-present, underline those words for irony here, for his head coaches Nathan Brown, Paul Anderson, Rick Stone and now Simon Wolford. Now, last night I was having a bit of an exchange with Mark Wilco, who's our resident Huddersfield Giants expert for the Super League pod, and he let me know that Michael Lawrence was carried off the field with an injury. You don't want to laugh, but basically, as soon as he pointed out to me, as soon as Luke Robinson announced his testimonial, he retired from the game, injured. Earl Crabtree picked up injuries relentlessly throughout his testimonial period. I think Leroy Cudjoe at the start of the year was granted a testimonial for this year, then proceeded to spend 6 months out of the lineup through injury, and now this has happened to Michael Lawrence, literally the week he announced his testimonial. So expect him to not play until June next season. But no, we hope. Can
we grant a testimonial for the cowbell, please?
Well,
and then hope that goes out for 6 months.
Bust the cowbell, yeah. Michael Lawrence, though, he comes up a lot on Super League Pod, a lot more than he would have ever come up to me if I hadn't done this show and I hadn't done the stats roundups, and you wouldn't have seen that this bloke makes a ton of tackles and misses very few. He's moved from the wing over time into the middle, and his tack is not just like second man in all the time. That obviously contributes to his stats, but he fronts up, is the first man on the tackle, is the man who wraps up the ball, and that sort of stuff. Is an important cog in Huddersfield Giants defence. So I think I like to feel he's probably one of those players that Super League Pod has helped give a spotlight on. I'm not saying we're responsible for getting a testimonial in any way, shape or form, but I think the wider rugby league audience, the 400, 500 people who regularly listen to us every week, and the people who float around that as well, probably feel more aware of Michael Lawrence because of us being able to highlight what he's done. So it makes me feel pleased for him, whereas probably if I'd have read this story 4 years ago, I would have been like,
Which one's he?
Yeah. He's the one who used to be a winger, right?
Okay, so young duo Owen Harrison and Adam Rooks have signed their first professional contacts with Hull Kingston Rovers. Both players are England internationals at youth level and have been training with the first team squad throughout the 2018 season before committing their futures to the club, having progressed through the ranks at the City of Hull Academy.
Well, you can tell us about what you know about these two, because all I know is that Harrison was named in the squad for a cup game earlier this year against Wigan.
That is the extent of my knowledge. I'm not familiar with the City of Hull Academy boys at the moment.
Is it difficult to follow them because you're not sure which kids are yours and which kids are theirs, and that?
A little bit, yeah. There is a little bit of that because and it's not like you don't sort of necessarily look in the same place. It's not like you just scroll down on the club website and the 19s are playing at Widnes this week. Oh, who's in the squad? Oh, he's been in the squad a few times. He might be worth checking out. And I mean, it's partly due to Eric. Obviously, I'm following from afar. I think if I was more local and able to find out more about them, then probably would do. But please, two young players coming through, and that's Hull Academy. As much as eyebrows were raised at the time, it has worked.
Well, there's still definitely a progression, and I think the questions come more when people who weren't on scholarship terms at one or other of the club, then which club do they go for? Because I think a lot of these kids have been on scholarship terms before now with one of the two clubs. If someone will correct me when I'm undoubtedly wrong about that. But are we now in year 3 of the joint academy?
3 or 4, I think. It's been going a fair while.
One final bit of Super League news: Rami Casti today signed a 2-year extension with Catalan Dragons. I don't think anyone ever doubted that would really happen, even though there was speculation linking to other Super League clubs. I think that was just to urged the deal along from the Catalans' point of view. He's been great for them over the last 2 months in particular. He's the club captain. Even at 33, is he now? He's still contributing, isn't he?
Yeah, allow me. London Broncos have handed a new 2-year deal to Will Lovell. Lovell, who's 25, is a product of the Broncos Academy and was given another chance to impress at the start of the season and was an ever-present in the early stage of the campaign when they topped the championship table. Lovell made 33 appearances for the Broncos in his first spell at the club before spending 2 seasons up in North London with the London Scholars. I'm really pleased with this news because I've followed Will Lovell's career for quite a few years. I remember watching his debut for, I think it might still have been, possibly it was Broncos, but it might even still have been Quins. It was that far back.
No, it can't have been Quins. It can't have made his debut any younger than 17. 8 years ago.
He was not. He was a kid.
Right.
But anyway, Quinn. It was round that sort of Quinn's Broncos when they were flipping. Probably. Anyway, I remember watching that game. I was there on a particularly wet day at the Stoop, and I've been impressed with him ever since. Kind of did think he was a bit too good to be in that Scholars side, which was then proved by him coming back to the Broncos. He's done well. He's sort of covered a number of positions this year as well for them. And pleased to see him stay in London.
2012 was when he made his debut, so
that would have been Broncos. That would have been the year they switched. Yeah, that was the first year of the Broncos. Yeah.
It's from Northampton originally.
Yes, yeah, he is. Yeah, I think he played for the Northampton Demons as they were.
Ah, right, okay.
At the time.
Probably another club struggling to get games.
I believe they folded, in fact, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the real sad drawbacks to development officers not being there and money not being focused towards that. Okay, one of the bigger stories that kind of floated around last week but wasn't quite the flesh on the bones until the rules, the disciplinary panel had sat and the Operational Rules Tribunal had looked at this one. But Oldham forward Danny Bridge has been banned for 9 months for assaulting referee Cameron Worsley during their recent League One defeat against Keighley. Bridge, 25, is an Ireland international and came through the academy at Warrington, also playing for Swinton, Bradford, Featherstone and Rochdale. He pleaded guilty to a Grade F charge of assault on a match official in a game at Cougar Park earlier this month. An independent rules tribunal also fined him £75, which is the standard fine for players at League One semi-pro level there. He said, "I made a massive mistake. It's never acceptable to make contact with the referee. I've apologised to the referee and after the incident went over to see if he was okay. I never deliberately assaulted him. I thought it was an opposition player. I pulled back. It was a split-second decision which I will regret forever."
Fair play to the kid for coming out with a statement, because a lot of people wouldn't have done that. He's held his hands up.
He's managed all that himself, hasn't he? He came out for his own social media channels and stuff.
Yeah,
like
he's
that.
not done it through. He's not done the through the club kind of stood on the steps of Red Hall. I'm very sorry. Snap, snap, snap. Oh, I won't do it again. Snap, snap, snap. But yeah, fair play to him. I think we don't want to see this at all, and I think a 9-month ban is the minimum for this sort of thing.
I do believe him that he thought it was an opposition player.
Yes, I can well believe that as well.
Because it almost the referee was in the chasing group, and he's kind of chasing, supporting his own man who's going to make a break, and he kind of elbows off the guy alongside him, thinking it's I believe thinking it's an opponent. So I kind of think, whilst it's awful that it's a physical infringement on a match official and certainly needs to be dealt with severely, I know people were calling for permanent bans and stuff like that, and I get that in a lot of circumstances, and do you know what, if he'd have got a bigger ban, I don't think he could have argued with it, because it was pretty violent. I mean, he should have got a decent sized ban if he'd done it on an opposition player, because he elbowed the bloke in the face, but 9 months feels about right for the footage as I interpreted it, and certainly he's going to have to carry this black mark. It might prevent him having a deal in the upcoming times. You know, it might make him have to really consider his place in the sport and the real world as a balance off, and see how he gets on there. But pretty bad and pretty reasonably dealt with, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one.
I mean, you've been a match official though. Would you have even ever have got in the race to have been elbowed out of the way?
Well, have we got time? Have we got time for this story? Probably not.
Tell the story. So we'll not go in depth on Ben Hardcastle and Harry Aronson. Tell the story.
We've been alluding to this one for a while. So my refereeing career lasted all of about an afternoon. I did the course. I was really good, and I got one of the highest marks ever apparently on the rules exam you do. Excellent. Apparently, I was excellent at learning the rules. No problem with that. Did the practical session outside in Feltham in the middle of winter. Fine with that in a classroom situation. So this is probably September, October. I'm doing the course. The following April, I then get to don my green tunic for the first time. And I'm doing a nines tournament, do a couple of games with another referee in kind of the NRL style, 2 referees, do that, and then do a one solo refereeing game. And it was the London Scholars, including a couple of now London Scholars first team players, so I do look at slightly sheepishly when I see them. I won't name them.
This is the Scholars back before they were... This is the Scholars that's in the community side, the Scholars, not the League One.
Yeah, it's just because the scholars operate an A team, yes. Which is so some of the players were playing for the A team in the nines tournament, and Joe Maboo was turning out for them as well when he was coach.
Famous Joe Maboo, yeah.
It was quite a quick team, so I was struggling to keep up with the pace because I was many things as a player, but the fastest or fittest was something I could not be accused of. It wasn't for want of trying, but anyway, so it gets to the point, and I gave a knock on and go to move away, and player who shall I'm pretty sure I know who it was, but I'm not gonna reveal it. They shoved me out the way. Of course, at this point, I don't remember I'm a referee. I'm on a rugby pitch. I've got my boots on. I've just been shoved by a player. What is the natural reaction for a former front row forward to do at this point? It's to turn round and shove the player back. That was the wrong thing to do, and the consequences of my actions became very apparent very quickly, shall we say? And
did you get to finish the match?
I finished that match because there was about 10 seconds to go, and yes, I didn't referee again and have not refereed again since that point. But
did you have your licence revoked or?
I didn't officially. I was offered other games. They were saying, "Oh, you come and do a kids game and do it," and I was like, "No, I think we've proved that I am not the mentality or the whatever the sort of person that they need as match officials." Which is why I say, it's all good for people to be match officials if you're the right sort of person to be it. I think.
At least you gave it a go.
I did give it a go, and that's why I feel an element of being able to criticise officials, but not any that are any good. But I gave it a go, and I wasn't up to the standard.
Well,
I stood myself down.
Match officials will always end at the point, but they can do the job better than I can. No matter how crap
Pretty
they are.
Pretty much. Yeah.
They might not know the rules as well as you do, Tim. That's a fair shout you can aim in their direction, though, I'm sure. Right.
Yeah, but anyway, so that is why my refereeing career did not. But to be fair, the referees were very supportive. They were trying to get me back involved, and I was like, no, I think this is the sign that that I don't need to be involved in this.
Fair enough. Every week a Tim G tale. Okay. What else have we got to hear about from League One?
Yeah, Ben Hardcastle and Harry Aronson have signed 2-year extension deals with the Keighley Cougars. I'm guessing this is now off the back of the Vienna Holdings money, so that now they're getting involved. They've got some stability at Keighley. They're able to sign people onto some 2-year deals.
Steve Gill is involved, isn't he, with that?
He's back in the game, yeah.
Okay, Warrington will take on South Sydney Rabbitohs in the inaugural Physical Disability Rugby League World Cup Challenge next month. The Wolves played in the first PDR PDRL game against Leeds back in February, and will now head down under to play before the Souths and West Tigers NRL fixture on August the 30th. Australian comedian and TV presenter of the last leg, Adam Hills, has been a key member of the Warrington Wolves PDRL team and instigated a fixture in Australia for the team to play against South Sydney PDRL.